ABC News Live presents her historic career, an interview with Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. Here now, Jonathan Karl.
Whether you agree with her or not on the big issues of our time, there is no real dispute that Nancy Pelosi is the most powerful woman in the history of American politics. After a nearly 4-decade-long career in Congress, the former Speaker of the House is set to retire after she finishes her current term at the end of next year. We caught up with Pelosi in Georgetown to take a look back at her career, her contentious relationship with President Donald Trump, and her falling out with former President Joe Biden. And with Democrats hoping to win back the Congress in November, we talked about her advice to the party going forward. But our conversation begins with a look back at her very first campaign.
I want to go back to the very beginning, 1987. Mm-hmm. You ran in a very crowded primary to represent San Francisco in Congress. It was close. That race was close. What was that like?
Well, it was not any closer than we had anticipated. There were 4 elected officials in the race, and I had never run for public office and the rest. But I'm a big believer, and that's my Baltimore experience too, is you have to own the ground to win the election.
And ABC News interviewed you the day before the primary.
I see it as a race to represent San Francisco, and I think the issue in the campaign is who can do that job best. Effectiveness is the issue.
Your slogan at that time, as you remember, Nancy Pelosi, a voice that will be heard.
That's funny, isn't it? Isn't that funny? That I would become Speaker of the House, and of course my voice would be heard, but I never thought of that.
Yeah, you were, I mean, the amazing thing is you were 47 at the time. You had 5 children.
Yeah.
That's when you start your political career.
Well, I was chair of the California Democratic Party.
Well, your elected career.
And I thought that I was so important because I was chair of the biggest state party in the nation, doing what I loved, which was organizing and recruiting candidates and preparing for elections. And that's what I liked behind the scene. I was bashful. I would never thought of running myself. I didn't even have any ambition to do so. But then they kept, you've got to run, you've got to run, you've got to run. So I went to Alexandra, my daughter, go to Alexandra and say, well, this would be better if it were 1 year from now, but it's now. And I don't have any ambition to be in Congress or run for Congress. I don't even know if I'll win for Congress, but I've been asked to run. And I want to know what you think of that. Now I said, Mommy has been asked to run. She says, Mother, get a life. I'm like, I hadn't heard that expression. This was 39 years ago. I had never heard that expression. Get a life. What teenage girl would not want her mother out of the house 3 nights a week? So I got an additional life, came to Congress, and went from there.
Pelosi quickly rose through the ranks, inspired to run for leadership after witnessing a series of Democratic losses.
I actually never intended to run for leadership. That's what's so funny about this, because I love my committees, appropriations, intelligence. I have 30 years of intelligence while I'm there. And then we lost in 94, 96, 98, and then it's coming up to 2000. I said, you know, being a party chair, I know how to win elections, and I'm just tired of losing.
House Democrats chose Pelosi to be the party's whip in 2001. At the time, the highest position ever held by a woman in Congress. Less than 2 years later, she was elected House Democratic leader, another first.
Yeah, as you know, I'm not finished yet. I've been waiting over 200 years.
And after Democrats won back the House in 2006, Pelosi made history once again.
It's now my privilege to present the gavel of the United States House of Representatives to the first woman speaker in our history, the gentlelady from California, Nancy Pelosi.
With the speaker's gavel came new attacks.
You become a great symbol to the Republicans. I mean, you are their #1 target. I mean, they do all kinds of ads featuring you as like a monster.
That's a fortune. They spent a fortune.
Yeah.
But it also gave Pelosi new power, especially after a Democratic president took office in 2009. With Barack Obama in the White House and huge Democratic majorities in Congress, Pelosi pushed through a series of landmark bills, the biggest banking reform since FDR, repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, allowing gays and lesbians to serve openly in the military, and the bill she considers her crowning achievement, the Affordable Care Act.
How do you want to be remembered?
Not so fast, I'm still here. Well, I'm very proud of the Affordable Care Act. I think that it just made a big change in terms of what working families need for their health and their financial health. We'll continue to have that fight. It's not a value that is shared with the Republicans. So if I were to remember it for one thing, it would be the Affordable Care Act.
But months after President Obama signed that bill into law, Democrats lost the House and Pelosi was out as Speaker. And then 6 years later, Donald Trump was elected president after promising to undo Pelosi's and Obama's signature achievement.
Was there ever a moment where you thought you could actually work with Donald Trump?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when we have an election, elections are elections. You respect the results and we try to work together. So when he first was elected, of course I was devastated that Hillary Clinton, the best prepared person in a generation to run, did not win the election. So, but I called him to congratulate him after she conceded, and we talked about infrastructure, and that's what he wanted to do, and I look forward to working with you on that. The story that says it all to me is, though, the first meeting we have with the President of the United States as the leadership of the first branch of government, the legislative branch.
Article 1.
Article 1. Now, here's a meeting, the new President of the United States. Foolishly, I'm thinking, how will he begin the meeting? Will he say something patriotic? Will it be something from the Bible? Maybe something of what this means to his family and their roots in America and the rest. Yeah. How will he begin the meeting? Because I've been to this meeting a number of times as Speaker or as Minority Leader. Puts his arms on the table like this. You know, I won the popular vote.
Which, of course, he didn't win the popular vote.
Of course, he didn't win it. No, he didn't win the popular. It wasn't even true.
And that's the way he starts his first meeting with the congressional leadership in 2017.
So I said, Mr. President, that's not true. You did not win the popular vote. He said, well, I'm not even counting California, which was a good comeback on his part, I thought.
During Trump's first term, Pelosi led the Democratic resistance, winning back the House in 2018 and becoming Speaker a second time. Her first meeting with Trump as Speaker-elect devolving into a shouting match for the world to see.
Have a debate with you about saying we confront some of those facts without...
You know what? We need border security. That's what we're going to be talking about.
The soon-to-be Speaker unfazed as she exited the White House. Perched on the podium behind President Trump for his State of the Union address a few weeks later, Pelosi's clap became one of several iconic moments.
We must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good.
Later that year, Pelosi confronted Trump during a closed-door meeting at the White House.
We went to the cabinet room to have a meeting, leadership and the leadership of the executive branch on security and the rest, and it was a horrible meeting. I think those people must have been embarrassed. If you look at the picture when I'm looking at them, they've got their heads down.
Yeah, you see General Milley's kind of looking down.
But you know what I'm saying when I go out the door?
What?
I'm leaving here because I've had it with you, Mr. President. With you, all roads lead to Putin.
And they put that picture out.
Yeah. We're not even allowed
They put that picture out and said, Crazy Nancy's unhinged, or whatever they said.
No, they didn't. A big favor. It was I get more requests to sign that picture.
At the end of Trump's final State of the Union address, Pelosi proceeded to rip up the text of his speech.
I didn't intend to go to speech to tear it up, but the first part of it, I tore a page because he was lying, and then the next page, and then the next page. And I thought it was a manifesto of lies all throughout. So I better just tear up the whole speech. Now, the speeches are on strong paper. So you have to do it a few times to get it done. But I had no intention of doing it. I thought my staff was going to die.
You had many highs as Speaker. The darkest day must have been January 6th.
Absolutely.
And amazingly, your daughter Alexandra is with you.
She was there. She took her sons because she wanted them to witness history. She took them when they were little babies to the day we passed the Affordable Care Act. And then this was going to be, we witnessed history, the certification of the Electoral College is a big deal. It's a historic occasion. So that's why she was there.
She was there, and she's always got a camera with her.
She always has a camera. That's a different story. It's almost attached to her.
The remarkable footage her daughter Alexandra captured featured in the 2022 HBO documentary, Pelosi in the House.
She is there right with you as you are whisked out of the Capitol. The Capitol, the leadership is being evacuated.
The documentary captures the intensity of the day.
There are people with guns trying to get into the House chamber.
As Speaker Pelosi pleads with military leaders to send in the National Guard.
Just pretend for a moment it was the Pentagon or the White House.
What's going through your head? I mean, we see the pictures. We see the anguish. We see what's happening to the Capitol. What's going through your head?
Well, it was clear that the President of the United States had incited an insurrection. And we begged him to send the National Guard. Typical of him, he never represents the truth. He said, I was going to send it, but they didn't want it. Get out of here. Even Mitch McConnell was on the phone with us saying, get them here right away. But they never sent them. This was one of the sad things. January 6th was really sad of itself, but the sorrow of it also springs from the fact that this president is trying to rewrite history, have a different narrative of what happened that day. And what I saw that day was these people coming in. They were going to have a bullet in my F-word head, and they were going to hang a noose for the Vice President of the United States. They had Confederate flags under Lincoln's dome, the dome that Lincoln built. They're in there, they're defecating on the floor, they're insulting the people who make the Capitol nice, and of course, they beat up the police. And he's trying to convince the American people, and his toadies that go along with him are subscribing to that. And that's why we just cannot let that happen. That's what happened that day was horrible. It was an assault on the Capitol, the symbol of democracy to the world. It was an assault on the Congress, the day we honored our responsibility under the Constitution to certify the Electoral College, who was elected president. It was an assault on the Constitution of the United States. It was horrible.
And we see what happened. Your office, they break into your office, they break things, they steal things. They're trying to find you. And when you, Alexandra, once again, your daughter is with you when you come back into the Capitol. And you said something. You said,
I just feel sick at what he did to the Capitol and to the country today. He's got to pay a price from that.
Has he paid a price for it?
No, he's the President of the United States now. But he'll pay a price in history. What really was bothering me at that time was, I'm respectful of the office of Speaker, and I'm sorry that things got broken, but what I was really concerned about was the trauma it caused for the members of Congress, our staff, but everyone's staff. When I came back from the undisclosed location, we went to the Ways and Means room, and I saw the staff. What I saw in their eyes, I will never forgive them for that, because they are idealistic young people come to the Capitol of both parties to be part of making progress for our people. And this happened, and he's freeing them from a response. Now he wants to give them retribution. It's crazy.
You said something. There's an effort to rewrite history. For tens of millions of people in this country, that has been successful. They believe in alternative reality of what's happened.
What happened stands. But our country cannot withstand an assault on the Capitol, the Congress, the Constitution, and the rest, and let that happen. And I was very proud of our January 6th committee, the work that they did with clarity, with patriotism, and the rest. They were wonderful. They were wonderful.
When we come back, I talked to Pelosi about her big falling out with former President Joe Biden.
Her historic career. An interview with Speaker Emerita Pelosi continues after this break. ABC News Live presents her historic career. An interview with Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. Here now, Jonathan Karl.
As she prepares to leave office, Pelosi and I discussed Donald Trump's return to the White House and the future of the Democratic Party.
The president gave his year-end speech, primetime speech, basically saying everything is going great in the country, and if anything's going wrong, it's Joe Biden's fault. Did you watch the speech?
No. I've had enough of him. I didn't even think about his speech, but I did see some of it in the news afterward, and I think it was a demonstration of his mental incapacity.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that was a ridiculous speech. Of course, we're all offended because of what he said about Rob Reiner and Michelle just a few days before, after the tragedy. Something's wrong there, and something's wrong with the people around him that they don't stop him from his ridiculousness.
Yeah, Rob and Michelle, I know we were very close with them. As a matter of fact, I spoke to Rob Reiner just last year, and he talked about you, and his affection for you and his respect for you. How did you react when you saw what Trump said about that?
Well, of course, it's an emotional reaction, just the news of it all. Because we were in LA on Sunday for a DCCC event with President Obama. My friend Cindy Horn, she called, she said, she was hysterical. Are you sitting down? Are you sitting down? I said, I'm sitting down. And I didn't know what to expect, And then she went and said what happened, and we're all devastated. We all loved him so much. And Michelle. They were really a team, a partnership. So when the president made that statement, it didn't sound sane. It was so, I think it went below the rate of humanity. It was just monstrous. That's what I thought.
So if the Democrats win the House back?
Yeah. No. When? Okay. When the Democrats win the House back, then we will.
So how does the next Democratic Speaker of the House deal with Donald Trump? What would be your advice? You've been there, you've done it.
Just do your own thing. Just be yourself. Hakeem Jeffries is ready. He's eloquent. He's respected by the members. He's a unifier, and he will have.
You have no doubt it'll be Hakeem Jeffries.
None.
And I mean, do they go into investigations? Do you have more impeachment, another impeachment round, or do you try to deal with him and get something done on all the other issues?
Get something done with him on all the other issues?
Yeah.
Well, I think what you do is, it's hard to get something that he will sign because of the problem that he has. But you can hold up some of the things that they may put forth.
So
of course, they have the power of the purse.
Yeah.
Right now, the Republicans in the Congress have abolished the Congress. They just do what the president insists that they do. That will be over.
So that ends as soon as you have a Democratic
That ends as soon as we have the gavel. I'm not, in terms of impeachment, I've said to people, the one person who was responsible for the impeachments of Donald Trump is Donald Trump. It's not something you decide to do. It's what violation of the Constitution he engages in. So that's not something you say, oh, we're going to impeach him. Well, but you can have the power of subpoena to get information from these agencies of government who are not supplying any information now.
So I want to ask you, would Joe, when you announced you were not running for Congress again, Joe Biden put out a very nice statement, very complimentary.
I was very proud.
Did he call you?
Not yet.
And what do you make of that? Because you haven't spoken to him since substantively since he dropped out.
We've been on programs. We both spoke at Ethel Kennedy's funeral.
Yeah, I was there, saw.
Yeah, he was lovely. But I'm sure he's very busy doing many things. I can tell you, when you're leaving office, you have a lot to do.
But let me, I mean, the last substantive meeting you had was there at the White House, and as I understand it, the two of you broke out your rosaries and prayed.
Well, let's not go into that. I read that I asked him to not run. I didn't. I just said I want to see what the polls really show. And I asked one other thing of him that I thought would be useful for the public, which I'd rather keep private. But I never asked him not to run.
Right.
I never did. No, I just said that there seems to be a difference of understanding of where the public is on all of this, on the path that you're on. Now, we have to adjust the path, but you have to accept the fact that the polls that you're seeing are not complete.
You may not have told him not to run, or asked him not to run, or said he shouldn't run, or said he should have dropped out. But he clearly puts blame on you for the opposition within the party, which is presumably why he hasn't bothered to talk to you since.
Yeah. Well, look, I've known him for decades.
Yeah.
I respected him enormously. I love him and his family very much. And he was a great president. He accomplished a great deal. I don't think their team publicized that enough. We were doing the heavy lifting over here.
Yeah.
We needed air cover. I don't think we got that. But it wasn't about his not running. I never told anybody they shouldn't run, much less the President of the United States. But he's wonderful. He's a fabulous President of the United States with such integrity.
So you want to repair that relationship?
Well, when you say to her, I want him to know how much I mean, I got so much in terms of relationships. I have 22 people in my immediate family.
Yes.
I have Congress that I've served with forever, and staff that I respect, and former presidents that I have a good rapport with, and I hope to have one with him. I don't know how much of a relationship it will be. That's up to him.
And what's next for Nancy Pelosi?
Well, we'll see. I've got many overtures, but I'm busy. I'm busy and focused on winning the House for the Democrats, making Hakeem Jeffrey the Speaker of the House, and to take us to a better place. And I'm a very prayerful person. I wear these bracelets. I believe that if you have faith in the goodness of the American people, faith and love, that gives people hope. The American people are good and beautiful people. Some of them have their, shall we say, challenges in terms of respect for other people. But by and large, the American people are good people. And I would like to see us take us back to a place where governance and politics understand that. So what's next for me is whatever I do, in addition to winning the House for the Democrats, is that we try to take the discussion to a place that believes in the goodness of the American people, that gives them hope.